Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to take you through the kind of mindset that you should build for you to implement a core banking system, or for you to do a core banking system changeover, which means you're changing over from the old system to the new system. I've been implementing core banking systems for a long time, about 2 decades for now, and I want to share with you this experience so that you become better in your next core banking system changeover or core banking system project. So let's move on. So in this section of the video, we are going to cover cluster number 9. Cluster number 9 is to do with reporting and operations. So let's go through what we're going to cover. All right, so we're going to cover reports for regulators, finance, reconciliation, exception reports on day 1, operational procedures, and also post-life support. So let's go through them one by one. So the first mindset that you have to consider for reports and also for operations is reports must be ready for operations, finance, risk, audit, and also regulators. So this is a very important mindset when you're implementing a core banking system. Try by all means to start reporting as early as possible. Don't wait until the end to define the reports. So there are so many ways to define them. You submit your report requirements definition for both finance, risk, audit, and regulators. The most why it's very important for these departments is most of the time finance, they have to make sure things are balancing. Okay, risk, they have to do risk assessments. Audit, they use them for audit, and the regulators, obviously, they want to make sure that you are reporting correctly, especially to the central bank. So why does it matter? If reporting isn't ready for every stakeholder who depends on it, not just operations, the bank cannot demonstrate control over finance, risk, audit, or regulator. So that is why it matters. Reporting should be, every stakeholder should be able to get the report which they want to use from the core banking system. So what goes wrong if this mindset is actually ignored? Reports are treated as nice to have and become a day one crisis. There are some reports, for example, finance, they want to make sure their GL is balancing. There are no mismatches or GL differences. So they need these reports. Regulators, there are certain reports which they request most banks to share with them. So these reports must also be available. So what is the correct mindset here? A report supports control, compliance, and reconciliation on a daily decision. So it's very important that when you are implementing a core banking system, you also consider reports from different stakeholders, and mainly from finance, risk, audit, and regulators. So this mindset is quite important. Don't ignore it. So what scenario can we look at? Core transaction processing works perfectly at go live. So it's working at go live. A week later, the regulator requests a routine report that nobody built or tested, which means a regulator as a stakeholder was not considered here because the reporting was scoped only for internal operations and not for external systems. So this is the scenario you might come across. Transaction processing has been confirmed to be working after going live, but a regulator is asking for a specific report and it's not available. It was never tested. It was never created. So it means reports were never ready for the identified and mandatory stakeholders like the regulator. So what action items should we talk about here? So the first one is you need to map reporting requirements for operations, finance, audit, and also regulator separately. So reporting must be mapped to each and every stakeholder. And why it's important, you can also prioritize them. I've seen some other banks prioritizing their reports to say on day 1 we can go live with these ones, but the rest can follow after day 1. So you also need to do that. Oops. So the next one is tests and sign every mandatory report before go live. This is very important. If the users, they've submitted to the project mandatory go live reports, then make sure they're also signed, they're also being tracked, and they're also delivered. Number 3, assign clear ownership for regulatory reporting specifically. So you don't mess up with the regulator if you are a bank. So the project must also deliver all the reports that are required by bank by the regulator. And I've seen most banks, they have a compliance department which they use to make sure that these reports are actually followed up until they are delivered. So it's very important mindset to make sure that you always have these reports ready. You always have these reports ready for operations, for finance, and any other important stakeholder in the project. Let's move on to the next one. So the next one is reconciliation reports are go live controls. So what do we mean by this mindset? So before you go live, you must be able to reconcile. Reconciliation, it helps you because you're going to be able to compare what is in the old system and what is going to be in the new system. So you can also use them as controls for go live. They can also give you information as to whether are you ready to go live or you're not ready. So they can also be used for readiness. So this mindset is very important. Always use the reconciliation reports for go live controls. So why does it matter? Without working reconciliation reports, no board, not finance, not risk, not even board can actually confirm bank books are correct. So as you move the general ledger, the GL, from the old system to the new system, it must balance the way it was balancing. Unless if it was not balancing in the old system, and that difference or that amount is known to the bank, then you can also migrate it to the new system. One way or the other, they still have to reconcile and clear that difference. So you must make sure that you also have these reconciliation reports. Then what goes wrong if this is not done? If this is not done, the bank cannot explain variances after go live. In most banking projects that I've been involved, you don't migrate transactions in most cases. You migrate only the balances. You leave the transactions in the old system. So as you move these balances, you might find some differences. The best way to reconcile is still in the old system because you still have transactions before you take them to the new system. So this is what we are saying. Something that is going to go wrong is the bank cannot explain variances after go live. You won't be able to reconcile. Never make that mistake. Always take something that you're able to reconcile into the new system. Then the correct project manager mindset is reconciliation proves financial integrity and operational control. When you are doing your reconciliation, you are showing that financially, the way you're operating previously is the way you're also going to operate in the new system. So from operations also, you are going to operate the same way from old system to the new system. So let us look at the scenario. A system goes live and transactions flow correctly, but the GL reconciliation report wasn't fully tested. So GL reconciliation report wasn't fully tested. Finance expect the first 2 weeks live unable to confirm whether the general ledger actually balances. This is very dangerous. So which means the reconciliation was not done properly. Now we have gone live. The finance guys, they're not sure. They don't know how to confirm whether the GL is actually balancing. So what are the action items that you can take? You need to treat a reconciliation report as mandatory go live controls, not optional outputs. Reconciliation cannot be optional. Otherwise, you might leave something which is very important, some balancing which is very important, or you might end up with additional balances which you don't need. Then number two, you need to test the reconciliation reports against real, full volume data before go live. So you normally find this when you are doing a dress rehearsal. In your dress rehearsal cycles, you are normally doing with full data. Then it means you should give the opportunity to the reconciliation team to also reconcile this full data, not just partial, but full data, the same way they were going to do it in the old system. Then number three, assign a named owner to review reconciliation results. In most cases, this is done by finance. You want someone to own this reconciliation process. If finance are able to say the balances are balancing or they are tallying from old system to the new system, the rest of the other reports is very easy to correct them. So reconciliation of reports as a go live control is one of the very important mindsets you should always have. This is very, very important. Let's go to the next one. So the next mindset principle when it comes to implementing this core banking system is exception reports must be available from day one. So if there are going to be any exceptions, these reports must be day one, not day two. Otherwise, you won't be able to pick items as quickly as possible. So why does it matter? Operational teams cannot manage what they cannot see. So if you want them to manage any exceptions, they should be able to see that first. Without exception reports from day one, failures they can go unnoticed. You see this? They can go unnoticed until customers or auditors find them first. And I'm telling you, it will be very embarrassing if the customer is going to be the first one to find out that there's a problem within the system. So any exceptions must be reported, whether they're coming from channels or they're coming from core banking system. So this is a very important mindset. You should always make sure that you have exceptions being reported from day one and being corrected before they are actually picked by either auditors or even by the customers. So what goes wrong when this is ignored? When this is ignored, operational teams, they work blind during hypercare. Hypercare is just the first 2 to 6 weeks when the system has gone live. You are busy stabilizing the system. It's normally called the hypercare system. So if these exceptions reports are not being picked, they're not being generated in the system, you're likely going to fly blind, which means there are going to be issues, but you're not seeing them. Then the correct mindset for the project manager is issues will happen. The bank needs visibility to detect and resolve them. You always have issues. There's not going to be any perfect core banking changeover system or project that you're going to have. But you should be able to pick these systems early, resolve them, and move forward. So what scenario are we looking at? A batch job silently fails to process segment interest posting on day two. No exception report exists. The issue is only discovered 3 weeks later, okay, when a customer complains about an incorrect balance. So this is one of the scenarios. You have gone live. There's a bad job which failed silently, and it was not able to post the interest as expected. Then no exception report was also produced. There's no exception report that was also produced. So the issue is only discovered when the customer is complaining about the balance. This is not good. So the best way is to make sure you have also exception reports from day one. Then what are the action items that you can take from here? You need to build and test exception reports before go live. I normally do it from the beginning of the day. The moment you start the project, make sure you're also building the exception reports because you will need them to pick the exceptions as you run the project and also after the project, after go live. So assign daily ownership to exception. Exceptions must be owned by someone. If they're coming from channels, someone from channels should own the exceptions. If it's coming from core banking, someone from core banking. If it's from infrastructure, someone from infrastructure must own that. Include the exception report availability in go or no go criteria. Yes, this is very important. So when you decide to go live or not to go live, make sure you're also analyzing and assessing the exception reports that are coming from the core banking system. So this mindset is very important. Exception reports should always be available from day one, not any day later than that. So let's move on to the next one. I hope you're enjoying the video so far. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to click the like button, subscribe button, and the notification button so that you're the first person to be notified each time a new video is uploaded on this channel. It will help this channel to grow. It will also help this channel to produce more videos like this one. So the fourth mindset that we have here is operational procedures must match the new system. This is a very important mindset. So when you're implementing a core banking system, some operational procedures were existing, they were pre-existing before the project. But now you are bringing in a new system. It's unlikely that it's going to be a one-to-one match with the procedures that were used in the old system as compared to the new system. So it is a very good mindset to consider that you still need to look at the operational procedures. They are likely going to change. So if they're going to change, how do they match? How do they align with the new system? So that's a correct mindset. It must always match with the new system. Most likely they're going to change, I can tell you. Because probably there were 6 processes being used in the previous system. Now you're using 20 of them. So you still need to accommodate the other 12 into the new system. So why it matters? An operational procedure written for the old system actively misleads staff if it's not rewritten to reflect the new system in actual screens and also workflows. This is what I was talking about. The workflow in the old system might be different from the one in the new system. So what goes wrong if this is also ignored? Users, they follow old procedures in a new system and create errors. This one I've seen it with my eyes. Remember, this is a change from old system to a new system. So if users are not well sensitized, well trained in terms of the new procedures that are coming in, probably account opening was taking 4 steps, now it's taking 3 steps or even 6 steps. And the users are not trained on that. They are most likely going to skip some of these steps. And once they skip them, they are going to see errors. Once they see errors, they start recording them in the help desk system. So you are going to be flooded with so many issues from help desk. So you should always make sure that the operational procedures, they are also updated and they are matching the new system. So what is the correct project manager mindset? Standard operating procedures, we call them SOPs. They must reflect the core banking system workflows, the roles, approvals, and also the controls. So they must be updated to reflect what is coming in now. If a customer opening record was taking 10 steps, they must be updated now, it's taking 12 steps or even less. That is 5 steps, and so on and so forth. Also, the roles are most likely going to change. Maybe in the previous system, there were only 6 rows. In the new system, there are 15 rows. So you also need to update your SOPs on that. Approval process can also change. Maybe the old system was not allowing 4 approvals or even 3 or 2 approvals. Now the new system is allowing that. So the operational procedures, they also need to be changed. Even controls. There were some controls which maybe were limited by the old system, but they are now possible in the new system. So you find that the processes and procedures here, they are also going to change. Now let us look at this scenario. A teller follows the existing and revised SOP for cash deposit based on the legacy system steps. The new system's flow is different, and the outdated instruction leads to an incorrect transaction. Okay, recorded transaction. So the teller is this is the scenario. The teller is using the existing but unrevised SOP, standard operating procedure, for a cash deposit based on the legacy system steps. But now it is now different. The old one is outdated. So you are now recording the transaction in the wrong way. So this is the scenario. So what actions can we take? You need to rewrite operational procedures against actual configured new systems. Okay. So this is very important. New procedures must be designed, must be updated to reflect the new system. You need to validate SOP through walkthroughs in the UAT or dress rehearsal. This is very important because operating procedures are changing. So when you are testing in UAT, you want to test according to the new operating procedures. So it has to be part of UAT also. Retire legacy SOPs formally so that staff cannot reference them. So if there's something that is old, you have changed it, you don't want people to still continue using the same procedures. So you have to make sure that you retire them formally. Communicate with the staff that this was the old procedure, this is now the procedure that we're using with the new system. So it is quite important that this particular mindset in terms of procedures to be changed is also included in the new system. Let's move on to the last part of this cluster. Sorry. Yes, this one. So the last mindset that we are talking about here is post-life support must be designed before go live. This is very important when it comes to operations. Post-life support is the period where you're going to support the users from a project point of view before you transition it to operations. So it must be designed. This is the main word here. It must be designed before go live. So as you finish your dress rehearsals, as you start preparing to go live, you also need to start to prepare to support the operations of the bank after go live. So why does it matter, this mindset? Improving support model after go live, once real issues are already surfacing, guarantees a slow and less confident response than support model designed before. So once you go live, the first 2 to 8 weeks is going to be very busy, a very, very busy situation. So to design how you're going to support it might be very difficult. So it is advisable that you design it earlier than that or in advance. So what happens if this is ignored? The support team improvises while the issues multiply. So this is very important. The support team is going to have to be overwhelmed whilst the issues are still multiplying. So you design it earlier. So what is the project manager's mindset here? Hypercare, excuse me. Hypercare must have roles, triage, severity, ownership, SLAs, service level agreements, and also escalation path. So during hypercare, this is where you're going to have so many issues. So there must be some escalation path to get these issues resolved. So what is the scenario we have here? Go live happens and issues start arriving from branches within hours. So there is no defined triage process or escalation path. The response is ad hoc, slow, and inconsistent across different teams handling similar issues. So it means the post-live support was not designed. That is why you're having all these issues just after go live. So what are the action items? You need to design staff and post-live support models before go live. This is very important. Before go live, you need to design these support models. It's easier because you're not yet under pressure than compared to when you're under pressure. Also define severity, response times, and escalation path in advance. All these are very important. You're going to have issues, different severity, medium, high, or low after go live. Then how are you going to respond to them? Service level agreements. Are you going to solve them within a week, within a day, or so? Rehearse support models itself during dress rehearsal, not just technical cutover. This is very important. So during dress rehearsal, you're going to have also issues coming in from users. Remember, dress rehearsal, this is where you're using users who are not part of the project from the beginning. So dress racing, how you're going to support, how you're going to resolve some of the issues as they come to the project team is also very important. So post-live support must be designed for go live. This is a very important mindset that you should have. Don't try to design post-live support after go live. It must be done. It must be designed before go live. That's very important. If you want me to create more videos based on what we have covered in this video, you can reach out to me or you can let me know in the comment section below. Thank you for watching.